All right. Georgia Tech week. A lot of respect for Brent, their program. He's done a tremendous job there. They're extremely physical. You can tell they're modeled kind of after what he believes in, which is running the ball and stopping the run. The quarterback's playing at an elite level. Just a lot of respect for the way they play the game. And we got a short week, so we got a quick turn here to get ready for these guys and obviously play in Mercedes Benz on Friday. And with that, I know you guys want to ask about Nair. I have not had a chance to talk to him or his family, but obviously he'll no longer be with us. So with that, I'll open it up.
Yeah, Coach, the third prep for this Buster Faulkner, Haynes King, the whole smorgasbord of Georgia Tech's offense for these guys. How have they changed over the last 3 years, and is there a sense of comfort having known you've played this brand 3 times?
I wouldn't say sense of comfort. I mean, nothing's comfortable about defending an offense that can hurt you in so many ways. First of all, Buster does an incredible job. He did here too. You know, he's a really good football coach. He knows where all the nuggets are on defenses. He knows how to attack them. He knows answers for things that when you do them. I mean, at the end of the day, they got to block, we got to tackle, and somebody's got to do it better. And that's a very tough thing when you play them because they stretch you horizontally, they stretch you vertically, they stretch you with tempo, they stretch you with numbers counts because of their quarterback. So Buster does an awesome job, and that's continued this year. So there's no level of comfort dealing with it. It's more of a how do you inspire your players to play harder.
Looking at Haynes King and how he's played, what has stood out to you about what he's done, what he's meant in this offense, and just what he's provided to the whole team?
Yeah, I mean, just look at the numbers, right? Like, I mean, anytime you have a quarterback that has the experience he has, I mean, I don't know if he's played 5 years, 6 years, I don't know what it is, but he's extremely experienced, extremely tough. I don't think people understand how fast this guy is. Like, he can run. And he was a great athlete in high school, track guy. I mean, the stories are all over of his success and his stories of where he's been and the injuries he's been through. And you see the hits he takes. I mean, he just gets stronger with each hit. So he's extremely valuable in terms of what they do and what they ask him to do. And he's hard to defend on all levels. Throwing the ball, I mean, people think, well, he doesn't throw the ball. He throws the ball really well, and he's really efficient. And they do a great job with the passing game, Buster does, because it's screen, RPOs, perimeter, and it's vertical.
Kirby, what are your thoughts about playing this game in Mercedes Benz Dome instead of playing it at Tech? Is it advantage, disadvantage? Do you change your approach at all?
No, we don't change our approach. I don't really think about those things.
Yeah, as you go back and watch the film from the other day, what do you think of how Chris and Justin played with CJ out, and what are the challenges for the linebacker unit against an offense that does what Tech does?
Yeah, they did a good job. Played against an overmatched team, and they both, played with confidence. It was a good thing that they've played as much as they have this year, so it wasn't their first time really being out there. A lot more challenging this week in terms of vision, eye control, keys. There's a lot of stuff going on in the backfield. There's a lot of motion shifts. You've got the extra element of the quarterback run, so fitting things properly, being thick on things, keying things, striking and getting off blockers, no one-for-ones. They're all things that will be important in this game.
Coach, the last 3 games for Georgia Tech, they've given up over 1,500 yards. I think it was 35 plays of at least 15 yards or more. In those 3 games, when you watch the tape, what stood out to you about what they've done on defense?
I'm not understanding your question there. You got to rephrase that for me. Are you asking about?
Yeah, they've given up a lot of yards, a lot of points, some big plays in their last 3 games. When you see the tape, what stands out about what they're doing on defense and how teams have been successful against them?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I hadn't seen enough. I've watched a bunch of their offense. I hadn't seen as much of their defense. I've watched bits and pieces of our game last year, and then the game the other night is the 2 that I've seen. They had some explosives in there. They've given up They play really hard on defense, play with great pad level, a lot of respect for how they play the game and how hard those guys play. They do a good job on perimeter blocks with their DBs. It's something we talk about every week. You can kind of find what a team's like by how they play with their skill players. All linemen are tough by nature, but sometimes skill players aren't, and theirs play with great toughness, get off blocks, attack blocks.
We didn't see Chauncey in Saturday's game. Just how's his availability looking going into this week?
It looks good.
Kirby, when did you first know Brent Key outside of playing against him? And are there certain core values you see when you watch this team through the years, that kind of are similar to what you guys do here?
I knew. Brent played at Georgia Tech when I played here, so I didn't know him personally. I knew of him, and then he got into the coaching profession, and he worked for a while with Coach O'Leary, and I think didn't really meet him till he was down at UCF, and we had some common mutual friends in the coaching profession. A couple guys had passed through Alabama that had worked with him, and so I met him that way. But yeah, he does a tremendous job. Guys take on his personality traits in terms of how physical they play, and I'm sure they practice physical just like we do because you see it on tape.
Kirby, speaking of teams taking on personality traits, obviously Haynes King plays a certain way, and the team kind of seems to feed off that. Is it kind of similar with Gunner in the team feeding off the way he also doesn't seem to be afraid of contact, and does that also want you to not rein him in sometimes?
Yeah, I don't like reining anybody in if it's beneficial to their play style in terms of toughness and doing the things you need to do. I don't know what similarities they have because I don't know Haynes well enough to know that. I know the play he puts out and the product he puts out and the production he's put out has really been incredible for what he's been able to do and the toughness and the durability he's done it with. That's been similar for Gunner. He just hasn't done it as long as Haynes has.
Kirby, wondering if you have any updates on Drew Bobo and Ernest Green. We didn't see them Saturday as well. What kind of injuries are they dealing with, and what does their availability look like?
They both are doing great and both completely available.
Yeah, Coach, we talk a lot about toughness. How do you guys evaluate that when you're, recruiting kids or taking kids out of the port? How do you evaluate toughness? How do you get a tangible, evaluation on that?
Well, talk to people you trust, whether it's a high school coach, somebody that's been in their lives, somebody that's maybe coached them. Toughness is not talked about. It's earned, and that usually by who they played for, who they played with, or you just talk to people. Best source of information you can get is talking to somebody.
Yeah, I was wondering how Kyron Jones is progressing and what his potential return might mean for this defense.
Yeah, we were hopeful to get Kyron back last week. He was hurting a little bit, still dealing with some pain down in the ankle, and we'll continue to progress him this week.
Coach, I guess this is a question related to Nair's situation. Are you taking more of a hardline stance on some of these incidents? And I know thankfully hasn't been a while since you've had one, but do you find yourself taking a harder stand on some of this stuff, like one strike, you're out?
No, I think those would be your words, not my words. I think my words would be each case is a case-by-case basis, and we'll always evaluate things that way based on the total history of the student-athlete, what the actions were, what they entailed.
Coach, after watching the film, and a lot of guys had opportunities last Saturday, is anybody in particular that stood out after you reviewed the film that might have, I don't know, made a move to get more playing time in the future, or just impressed you?
It's just hard to say. I mean, the team was overmatched. We were bigger and stronger and faster at almost every position. It's probably not fair to evaluate it in terms of who gets more playing time. I mean, our guys get to go at practice and go compete today to get more playing time, and they're going to do it 1s-on-1s, and they're going to do it 2s-on-2s, and we're going to get a better measure of who's growing and who's getting better. And that's no disrespect to Charlotte. I'm not being disrespectful. It's just there were some positions they were outmanned.
Was there value playing that game, though, at this point in the season?
Yeah, great value. We got great experience for a lot of guys to go out and play and compete. And, I mean, I think you ask their parents and their families if there was value in it. Absolutely.
One of the memorable moments from last year's game was your embrace with Coach Key afterwards. Was that just, two men that nobody on the outside of the world understands the emotion, the physical, mental toll of what it take to be a part of that game and how you just felt for one another?
Yeah, I would agree with it. It was an intense game, and there was a lot of back and forth. I've never been a part of a game where there was, a one-play outcome 14 times or whatever it was. And that makes things, tough, and you're going back and forth, things like that. But, coaches are human too, and there's a respect level for people that do this business and do this profession, and there's a lot of respect for the toughness they play with.
Coach, obviously you've had Buster Faulkner in this building, and he's gone to Georgia Tech, and he's their personnel is different than you guys. But just what are your thoughts on just the similarities of what he was when he was here as a coach, and then what you've seen him kind of evolve into, as an offensive coordinator at Tech?
Yeah, he did an incredible job for us. Always innovative, always looking at new ideas. Good teacher. Aggressive and does a great job in the way he does things, and I've seen that carry over to there. He does a really good job with their offensive unit, utilizes the skill set of the players he has, and looks at things in perspective of touches, who has to get the ball, how do you win, and how do you adjust, but not losing the core values of being able to run the ball and having toughness.
You mentioned going back and looking at the Georgia game from last year. What stood out to you about that game? We mentioned how there were so many one-play possibilities, but overall, what stood out to you?
Physicality. I mean, it was a physical game both ways.
Hey, Coach, obviously C.J. Allen wasn't able to play this week. What's kind of his plan for this week, and what was he able to do last week?
Yeah, he's working his tail off, doing the best he can to be available when he can.
Yeah, I know you said often this year, last year's team is last year's team, and this year's team is this year's team. But with the 8 overtime game a year ago, do you think any of that carries over into this game in terms of the intensity, in terms of both teams going to that level to try and win it?
Don't understand that question. Sorry. The teams are trying to win the game, regardless of what happened last year. I don't know what 8 overtimes would make people want to win it more or less this year. I assure you they want to win the game just as much as we do, regardless of the outcome last year.
I'll ask you about Elijah Griffin. Jordan is going. How is Elijah kind of continue to progress, step up, and what have you seen him over the last couple of weeks?
I think he's getting more confidence, less maybe pregame and early game jitters in terms of anxiety. He's comfortable, practicing well. He's doing things, for the second and third time instead of the first time in a lot of cases, and he continues to get better, and we need him to continue to get better.
Yeah, we've also seen a little bit more of C.J. Wiley and Landon Roldan over the past few weeks. Just what have been the biggest areas of growth for those guys as they get a little bit more playing time?
Yeah, knowledge, experience in the offense, being able to process information quicker. It's so much more than can he run a good route and catch the ball. There's just tons more than that. What defense are they in? What check are we making? Are they blitzing? Do we have a side adjust? Do we have a different guy to go block when the coverage shell changes? You can't get those guys enough reps, and they're maturing to the point where they earn the trust. They can go in and execute all things, and it requires you to do all things in our offense because they're involved in every play.
Have another question for Coach Smart? One last?
Yeah, this is kind of off the
topic. I know you always bring clips in from the NFL to show your guys. Did you happen to see that Elijah Clark?
Yeah, I talked to Fran about him. He played there for Fran, and Fran recruited him and knows him well, and pretty incredible play by that kid.